Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to be discussing reasons why your hair is not retaining length. If you're interested in this topic, then make sure you keep on watching. If you're new to my channel, I really hope you stick around to watch more videos after this one, and you can support me by clicking the red subscription button just down below. And whether you're an old or a new subscriber, please hit the notification bell so you'll be notified of whenever I post new content. So let's get straight into the video. So if your hair seems to be stuck at a particular length, for example shoulder length, armpit length, bra strap length, or wherever you are at the moment, then this video is definitely for you. There are three main reasons for why your hair may have hit a hair growth plateau. One is hair dryness, two would be hair breakage, and three would be hair damage. So therefore, in order for you to determine exactly where the problem lies, then you have to ask yourself, is my hair dry, is my hair breaking, and is my hair damaged? So number one, is your hair dry? This is a very common cause for lack of length retention. Dry hair is brittle, it lacks elasticity, and therefore it's more prone to breakage. And as we all know by now, naturally curly hair tends to be dry, and therefore this would make it more susceptible to breakage. In order to avoid dry hair, it's essential that you develop a moisture routine. So you need to look at your techniques, the type of products you're using, as well as your hair care regimen. So moisturized hair starts on wash day. So this should include cleansing, conditioning, and moisturizing your hair. So I always recommend that you start by first cleansing the hair to adequately get rid of any product buildup, and that's why I would always say to use a shampoo. Clarifying shampoos will be able to get rid of product buildup, and then moisturizing shampoos are there to make sure that your hair is cleansed but still stays moisturized. Once your hair is cleansed, then you can go ahead and use a moisturizing deep conditioner, preferably with heat, to get maximum benefit. When choosing products, it's important that you look at the ingredient list to avoid any drying chemicals. Things like sulfates, silicones, phthalates, as well as petrolatum can really be quite drying. If you've been using a product for a number of months and your hair is still dry, then that product likely isn't the right one for you, and you need to switch up products to find something that would be better for your hair. Once you've found the right products that work for your hair, it's important that you apply them in sections to make sure that all of your strands are coated. This is particularly important if you have very dense hair, because if you're going to just be applying products to the outer aspects of your hair, the inner aspects of your hair would be dry, and this can lead to dryness. And what does dryness do? Dryness leads to breakage and therefore affects your length retention. You can check out this video over here to see of different ways that you can apply products to your hair to make sure that you retain moisture. So once you've got the right products, you've got the right techniques for applying the product, then go ahead and make sure that you have a hair regimen where you're sticking to a particular wash day schedule. So I recommend, if you're going to be wearing your hair loose, in a wash and go style for example, then you should be washing your hair at least once a week. But if you're doing protective styling on your own hair, like mini twists and mini braids and things like that, then every 2 weeks should suffice. But remember, nothing is written in gold. Whatever works for you, keep on doing that. So if you find that you can wash your hair a bit more frequently or less frequently works for you, then carry on sticking with that. So let's move on to number two, breakage. So if you have a solid wash day routine and you're able to maintain moisture, so you're certain that your hair isn't dry, but you're still not able to achieve length retention, then it's more than likely that your hair is just breaking off. So when people say that their hair isn't growing, this isn't true. Hair is always growing. The problem is that we aren't retaining the length from the ends of our hair, and therefore we're stuck at a particular point. So there's several things that can cause breakage. One would be dry hair, which we've already covered. Another thing would be friction. And so anything that rubs against the ends of your hair has a potential to cause breakage. So for example, clothing, jewelry, accessories, your shoulders, these are all things that can rub on your ends and cause them to break off. This is very common during the winter months when we're wearing scarves and hats and basically fabrics that are very drying to the hair. To avoid breakage from clothing, I would recommend to wear your hair up in protective styles so that the ends are not exposed. Another cause of breakage would be split ends, and this can be due to over manipulation, improper heat styling, chemical damage, and UV exposure. So in order to prevent split ends, it's important that you keep your hair moisturized and also consider stretch styles and stick to a particular trimming schedule. So how often you trim is going to vary from individual to individual. For me, I tend to trim my hair every 3 to 4 months, or as often as I need if I see that my ends are splitting, because the last thing you want to do is to leave split ends, because they can travel up the hair shaft and affect healthy hair, and instead of having a trim you're going to end up with a haircut because so much more of the hair is actually damaged. So get yourself onto a regular trimming schedule and your hair will thank you for it. Over manipulation and improper detangling techniques can also lead to breakage. So if you wear your hair in wash and goes or in loose styles more often than not, if you're constantly manipulating your hair into different styles like twist outs, braid outs, wash and goes, every single time you touch your hair and manipulate it, this leads for potential for your hair to break off, especially if your hair is already dry. Poor detangling techniques can also lead to hair breakage. If you're using hair tools, for example, and you're not taking the time to section your hair and you're ripping through your hair as you're detangling, or you're not starting from the ends but you're starting from the roots of your hair and just ripping through it with a comb or a brush, this is going to inevitably lead to breakage. So make sure that you section your hair when you're detangling. Use something that has a really good slip in order to lubricate your strands, and always start from the ends of your hair and work your hair up to reduce the chances of you having breakage. Another cause of breakage would be knots and tangles. Single strand knots are basically where the hair knots up against itself, and it tends to form at the ends of the hair, especially if you wear your hair in wash and goes quite often. And where these knots form can actually lead to breakage at these points. So once again, ensuring your hair is adequately moisturized, wearing your hair in stretch styles, and avoiding any friction can help to prevent the formation of knots and tangles and therefore breakage. So I know we've talked quite a lot about making sure your hair is adequately moisturized to avoid breakage and therefore help in length retention, but we also must recognize that overly moisturized hair as well, moisture overload, can also lead to hair breakage. This is because the hair becomes weak, it loses elasticity, and therefore it's more susceptible to breakage. Another cause of breakage would be protein overload. So if you're using very strong protein treatments quite often, so things like Alpha-G, anything of hydrolyzed silk proteins or hydrolyzed collagen, if you're using these quite often, let's say weekly, and you're using other products that also contain protein, you can develop protein overload, and this can cause your hair to be weakened, brittle, and it can lead to hair breakage. Another cause of breakage would be environmental factors. So exposure to extremes of temperature can lead to your hair breaking off. And this is because very hot or cold temperatures can suck all of the moisture out of your hair and therefore lead to dryness, and then this can lead to breakage, as we've mentioned so many times in this video. So I've had problems with environmental damage earlier in my natural hair journey when I used to wear wash and goes during the winter and then wonder where my hair was breaking off, and this is because I wasn't adequately drying my hair at home. So leaving home with wet hair led to my hair freezing in the cold temperatures and the ends breaking off. So to avoid environmental damage, you want to make sure that you're protecting your hair from the elements. This could be by wearing protective styles, twists, braids, wearing head wraps or turban, and also choosing products that have ingredients that can protect you from the environmental elements. So moving on to number 3, and that's damage. So if you know your hair is not dry, it's not breaking, but you know what, it still isn't retaining length, then perhaps your hair is damaged. And damage can be due to several factors. It can be mechanical damage, chemical damage, heat damage, or environmental damage. It's important to note that damaged hair cannot, and I repeat, cannot be repaired. So if your hair is damaged for whatever reason, then you just need to go ahead and cut it off, or you need to transition into healthy hair. If your hair is damaged, it's going to prohibit you from retaining length because it's just going to continue to break off. To avoid heat damage, you want to make sure you're not excessively using heat styling tools such as blow dryers, hair curlers, and flat irons. You should also make sure your hair is well prepared before you apply any forms of heat, so it should be well cleansed, deep conditioned, and moisturized, and also protected by using a heat protectant product. To avoid chemical damage, you want to make sure you're not over processing your hair with hair dyes, and if you aren't a natural girl, things like relaxers and curly perm. Mechanical damage can be avoided by things we've mentioned before, making sure you're not over manipulating your hair, wearing protective styles, and so forth. And environmental damage can also be avoided by things we've mentioned before. So guys, these are basically the 3 main things that could affect length retention: dryness, breakage, and damage. Once you address each of these things, you'll be able to find exactly where your problem lies, and you can address this and change your regimen to suit to avoid breakage and therefore help to increase your length retention. So guys, you've come to the end of the video, and if you have any other common reasons of why people get stuck at a particular length and can't seem to surpass the hair growth plateau, then make sure you drop that down below so we can all learn from each other. And also, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to please give it a massive thumbs up. This really helps my channel out by allowing other people to see my content. So I really appreciate if you can do that. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe by hitting the red subscription button just down below, or just hit on my face right here in the center and you'll be subscribed to my channel. Turn on that notification bell as well so you'll be notified of whenever I post new content. And once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!